So hey everybody, today is going to be a little bit more of a chatty video. I wanted to hop on here and talk about some books that are high up on my TBR for October, but in general just the fall. I definitely have slacked on posting reading content on this channel. I have been in a huge reading slump. If you follow me on Goodreads, you've probably seen that I maybe have gotten through 2 or 3 books in the last 2 months, which is significantly slower than I typically take to read books. I think that's a combination of reading a few books that are definitely not up my alley, but my personal life has also been really busy. I'm getting married in a couple months, and the planning of that has been overwhelming at times. And thirdly, I think I've gotten into books that while I really enjoy them, for example, Outlander, really love the story, really love the writing, but the length of the book is so overwhelming for me. I think I'm like 500 pages through, but it's 850 pages long. And again, this is just the first book in the series. I'm personally someone where if you've been on this channel for a while, you know that I really like to finish a series before I move on to another one. And so that's been a little bit of a struggle for me with this series specifically because it really limits me as far as reading outside of that series. So I think eventually I will have to break out of that habit and skip around and take a break from Outlander and then come back to it, just because again of the length of the series and also the length of each book. But with that, let's manifest reading some shorter books and some books with more fall vibes. I am a huge fall person, and so I'm hoping that these books successfully can take me out of my reading slump and get me back into reading. A lot of these are books that you've seen on my channel before if you've watched a lot of book hauls that just got pushed off from last fall, and a lot of them are witchy. I personally love witchy books around this time of year. So the first book I want to talk about is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. This book is by Sangu Mandanna, and the description on the back describes this as a warm and uplifting novel about an isolated witch whose opportunity to embrace a quirky new family and a new love changes the course of her life. This one definitely seems like it's an easy read. It's about 300 pages, and the font and writing is not super dense. So hopefully this is nice and easy to get through. I've had this on my shelf for 1 or 2 years now, I believe, and so I'm really excited to jump into this one. Next up is another book that's been on my shelf for a while, and this is If It Bleeds by Stephen King. I've only ever read one other book by Stephen King, and I DNF'd it at like the 85% mark, and that was Fantasy, I think it was called, and that was also his first, I think, and only fantasy genre book. So I've never actually read a horror or thriller by Stephen King. I will say that that book really turned me off because it was so slow, the progress of the book. It felt like there were 3 books inside of one book, and it was just so long and I just couldn't get through it. So descriptive, couldn't vibe. I just wanted to kind of like speed the story up. It wasn't that it wasn't interesting, but again, it was just too slow for me. So I think this will be an interesting change of pace as far as his writing. This is a series or collection of short stories that he's written, and they all are the horror or thriller genre as far as I'm aware. This one is on the longer side. It's about 420 to 430 pages, I believe, but I am really excited. Again, this is going to be a very short paced book, and I really can break them up. I think this is going to be the opposite of Outlander, where every 50 pages I'm going to have completed a story entirely. So it'll just feel like it's moving along very quickly, which is something I'm really looking forward to with this one. Next up is A House of Shadows by Darcy Coates, and this is one that I rarely see even talked about. It's very, very short, so I think this one probably is about 200. Yeah, it's at 260 pages, and the writing is not super dense at all. If you guys have been on my channel for a while, you know I have read a lot of Darcy Coates books, and recently, ever since Voices in the Snow, nothing has really impressed me. They've all been around the 3-star range, so I'm really hoping this one is enjoyable. I love haunted house vibe stories, and this is more along those lines. I know that she's written many other books in the haunted house, haunted mansion theme, but this is the first that I will have read, and so I'm really excited to get into this one. Again, I'm just trying to change the pace of these books I've been reading, so this will be a nice short one to break everything up. Next up is another novella by Cassandra Khaw that I haven't actually read yet, and If you guys have been here for a while, you know that I love Cassandra Khaw's other novella, The Salt Grows Heavy. This one is called Nothing But Blackened Teeth, and I believe it was published prior to The Salt Grows Heavy. I think this is one of her older books, but I'm really excited to jump into this one, of course, because it's a novella. It's going to be really short. This one is about 120 pages. This one says, a mansion stands abandoned, its foundations resting on the bones of a bride and its walls packed with the remains of girls sacrificed to keep her company. It's the perfect venue for a group of thrill-seeking friends brought back together to celebrate a wedding. A night of food, drinks, and games quickly spirals into a nightmare as secrets get dragged out and relationships are tested. But the house has secrets too. Lurking in the shadows is a ghost bride with a black smile and a hungry heart, and she gets lonely down there in the dirt. So this one sounds super interesting. I honestly didn't know this was like a haunted house, haunted mansion story. I just bought it because I love Cassandra Khaw, so can't wait to jump into this one as well. Next up is a book from my most recent book haul. This is Lilith, and this is not necessarily like a fall horror thriller book, but I have just been really excited to jump into this one ever since I read the synopsis in my last video. And so go check out that video if you are curious to hear more about it. I'll link it here for you guys, but I'm really excited to jump into this one, and I love a good play on Christianity and religion within the plot of this story, and of course kind of turning the narrative to be more feminist. I'm very intrigued by it, and I can't wait to get into this one. Next up is The Unfortunate Side Effects of Heartbreak and Magic. I just recently purchased this book, and I don't really know much about it. I think it's more of a lighthearted rom-com rather than a thriller or anything like that. It sounds like she has a family member that grows ill, and when her brother visits town, some secrets, family secrets, are unraveled and come to the surface. So I'm very curious to read this one as well. It's on the longer side. I think the writing's a little more dense, and it does look like it's over 300 pages, but again, it's witchy, and I feel like it fits the season really well. Next up is Cackle, and this is an older version of the cover, so I think if you've read it recently or have seen this recently online, it's probably a updated cover. But this is by Rachel Harrison, and this one has been around for a while. I've heard really good things about it in general. I got this one on Book Outlet a couple years ago as well, but it's just going to be another witchy fall novel to get into. It says, all her life, Annie has played nice and safe. After being unceremoniously dumped by her longtime boyfriend, Annie seeks a fresh start. She accepts a new teaching position and moves to Manhattan, to a small village upstate. The people are friendly and warm. Her new apartment is dreamy, aside from the oddly persistent spider infestation. Yikes. Then Annie meets Sophie, beautiful, charming, magnetic Sophie, who takes a special interest in Annie and wants to be her friend. More importantly, she wants Annie to stop apologizing and start living for herself. Annie can't help but gravitate toward the self-possessed Sophie and starts to spend more time with her despite the fact that the rest of the townfolk seem a little afraid of her. Sophie's appearance is uncanny and ageless. Her mansion in the middle of the woods feels a little unearthly, and she does seem to have a certain power about her. So I really don't know what to expect with this book. I'm not sure if it is more of like a romance or if it's just going to be like a lighthearted, maybe mystery witchy book, but we'll check this one out. Not too long. Again, this is more of like a wide print just because it is the hardcover version, so that'll be nice and refreshing. Last up is How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix, and based on what I've read, this is more of a comedic haunted mansion story, so this will break that all up nicely with the horror and the thriller aspects. This one will be way more comedic. This is definitely on the longer side. This one is over 400 pages. Unfortunately, I haven't heard amazing things about this book. It seems like it's kind of average, middle of the road ratings, at least by those who read similar books to myself. My fiance is actually a real estate agent, and I love haunted mansions and haunted houses, as I've mentioned in this video. So I just feel like the comedy of it might hit differently for me. And so I'm really curious to jump into this one. But this is the last book that is all on my fall TBR. If you guys have anything you recommend or want to add to my TBR, please comment that down below. And if you've read any of these books and have an opinion on them, I'd love to hear it in the comments as well. Thank you for watching. If you've made it this far, I do post a lot of reading and writing content on this channel if you are new, so I would encourage you to subscribe if you like videos like this. And thank you guys for watching. I hope to see you guys in my next video.